Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is T of the FTK Crochet brand and I'm back with another tutorial. Today we are going to be making the tutorial for this beautiful shirt. It is a step-by-step detailed tutorial, so it is beginner friendly. If you are new to crochet, this is something you can actually make for yourself or for a loved one. I used the V-stitch on this one and it came out so beautifully. So without further ado, let us get into today's tutorial. Okay, so for this project, these are the materials that you're going to need. You're going to need your yarn, of course. I'm using the cream color and this really dark brown color on this one. So this yarn happened to be a lightweight 2-ply acrylic yarn. So I'm going to be putting 2 strands of this yarn together because I want it fuller. All right, so automatically I'm going to be using a 4-ply acrylic yarn on this project. All right, so you are going to need your scissors, you are going to need a tapestry needle, some stitch markers, and then you are going to need your measurement tape, very important. Then for this project, I'm going to be working with a 4mm hook size. All right, so let us get into it. Okay, so the measurement you're going to need for this project is going to be your chest measurements, which is around your chest, and then you are going to need around your arms as well. Okay, then the most important one is going to be the length of this shirt. Okay, so whatever length you get from this shirt, you are going to remove 5 inches from it. Okay, so when you get the length of the shirt, you're going to remove 5 inches from it, because mine now, I'm going to be doing 28 inches for the entire shirt. Okay, so now we are going to be starting with 23 inches because like I told you, you need to deduct 5 inches from the length that you get from your shirt. Okay, don't worry, as we go, you will understand the reason why we need to do that. Okay, because we are working vertically on this shirt now. So the chain that you are going to be making is going to be your length minus 5 inches. So I'm going to be using the one I'm making to give the example, so you can actually use yours to calculate it. All right, so I'm going to be doing 23 inches of chain now as my foundation chain. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so I'm done with my foundation chain and I ended up making 91 chains. All right, so this 91 chains now gave me 23 inches that I'm going for the length, because like I told you, we are going to be working vertically. Okay, so on this shirt we are going to be working 3 panels. Okay, so for my chest measurement, I got around my chest 46. So if we're going to be making 3 panels, we are going to be dividing the 46 inches into 3 parts. So the back panel is going to be getting 23 and the 2 front is going to be getting 11 and a half and 11 and a half. Okay, because you know 11 and a half and 11 and a half gives us 23 inches, and the back panel is going to give us 23 inches, that is 46 inches all together. Okay, so with this one now we are going to be starting with the first front panel. Okay, so I'm going to be showing you how to do this one, and then you know what to do in the next 2, but just make sure you are writing down everything you do on this one, because this is exactly the same step that you take on this one, that is what you're going to be taking on the rest ones. Okay, so now like I told you, I made 91 chains right here. Okay, so now to begin the row 1, you are going to chain up 4. 1, 2, 3 and 4, and now you are going to skip this 4 stitch, and on the 5th stitch right here you are going to do 2 double crochet on that same stitch. So that's 1 and that's 2, just like this. All right, so now you're going to yarn over, skip 1 chain stitch, and on the next you're going to be putting in 2 double crochet on that same stitch. So this 2 double crochet now, we are going to be referring to it as a V. All right, so now you are going to yarn over again and skip 1 stitch, and on the next you are going to be going in there with a V. That's 2 double crochet. All right, yarn over, skip one stitch and go to the next with a V. So this is exactly what you are going to be doing for the row 1 until the end. Okay, so I'm at the end of the row 1 now, and as you can see, I have just 2 stitches left here. All right, so to end here now, you are going to yarn over and you are going to skip this 1 stitch and end with just 1 double crochet on the last stitch, just like this. Okay, so as you can see, we have just 1 double crochet here, and the beginning here we have just 1 double crochet. Okay, so now to begin the row 2, you are going to chain up 3, 1, 2 and 3, and then turn your work to the other side, just like this. So now you are going to be going into this V stitch. Now you are going to be going in there with a V as well. That's 2 double crochet inside the V space, just like that. And then you are going to yarn over, and into the next V space you are going to be going in there with a V. And yarn over, into the next V space you are going to be going in there with a V. So this is what you are going to be doing for this row until you get to the end here. And when you get here, I'll come back to show you how we are going to be ending it here. All right, okay, so I'm at the end of the row 2 now. I'm just going to show you how we end it here to start on the next row. All right, so as you can see, I just put in the last V on the last V space. So now you're going to yarn over and skip this stitch here, and on the 3rd chain stitch right here, you're going to be going in there with just 1 double crochet, just like this. All right, so as you can see, the chain 3 here is what we are putting here as well. Okay, so now to begin the row 3, you are going to chain up 3, 1, 2 and 3, and turn your work to the other side. You're going to yarn over, and into this V space now you are going to be going in there with a V. Yarn over, and into the next V space you're going to be going in there with a V. So on this row, this is exactly what you are going to repeat again until you get to the end here. So for the entire row of the panel now, you are just going to be repeating what we did in row 2. Okay, so you keep creating your V on each of the V spaces. When you get to the end here, you do just 1 double crochet on the chain 3 stitch right here to end it. All right, so this is exactly what you do until you get your first front panel. So like I told you, my first front panel is going to be 11.5 inches. All right, so I'm going to go off camera now to do 11.5 inches for this panel, and I'll come back to tell you what we're going to be doing next. All right, okay, so I'm done with my first front panel, and this is how it's looking. So like I told you, the first front panel is supposed to be exactly 11.5 inches for me, and this is exactly what I got here. All right, so the 11.5 inches, I did 11 rows of cream, 2 rows of brown, and 10 rows of cream again. So that is what gave me my 11.5 inches that I am going for. And for the length, like I told you, I'm doing 28 minus 5 inches, and now this length gave me exactly 23 inches. So this is what it is. This one gave me exactly 23 inches, as you can see. All right, so now the next step is going to be going ahead to do something identical, the second front panel. All right, okay, so I'm done with my second panel, and this is how it's looking. So now we are done with the 2 front panels. So the next step now is going to be creating the back panel. Okay, so for the back panel now, what you are going to do, you are going to be doing these 2 together. You plus whatever rows you made on this one, that is what you are going to be using to create the back panel. Okay, so I'm done with my back panel, and this is how it's looking. My table is not big enough to actually show you everything. All right, so it's exactly the same thing I did on the front panel, but I just doubled it. That is what gives you the back panel that you are going for. All right, so I begin with 11 rows of cream, 2 rows of brown, and then 10 plus 10, which is 20 rows of cream again, another 2 rows of brown, and 11 rows of cream. So that is what gave me the 23 inches that I'm going for the back panel. All right, so the next step now is going to be joining both the front panels and the back panel together. All right, so for these parts now, as you can see, I've done my measurements, and I've put in my stitch markers to know where I'm going to be leaving for the neck area. All right, so I ended up leaving exactly 8 inches for the neck area. All right, so as you can see, it's very easy for me to actually count because of the color combination. So what I just did, I counted 1, 2, and on the third space, that is where I put my stitch marker, and I did the same thing here, because you must make sure the 2 is exactly on the same place. So because we don't want one part longer than the other parts. Okay, so for my neck, I had to go with 8 inches. So you make sure you measure around your neck to know where you want to leave out for your neck area, because don't forget, we are going to be putting a collar, so don't make it too big so it won't be falling down your shoulders. Okay, so after getting that, now I know this is where I'm going to be closing up for the shoulder area. And for the arm as well, around my arm I got 18. Okay, for this shirt that I'm making, around the arm is 18. So what I just did, I measured the front parts and got exactly 9. Okay, so 9 plus 9, which is 9 on the front and 9 at the back, will give you exactly 18 inches. So I went ahead to put the stitch marker on this part. So when I close this part, I know that I'm going to be stopping here to reveal my armhole. Okay, so the method I'm using for my joining is the sewing method. So with that one, you will need your tapestry needle. But there are other ways you can join as well. If you don't want to use the sewing method, you can use a slip stitch, or you can use a single crochet. But I am going to be doing my own joining with the sewing method. Okay, so to begin that, you are going to be taking a strand of yarn from the yarn that you've been using. You're going to make sure you take the one long enough to cover this space, and then you cut it. So you're going to fix it in your tapestry needle, just like this. And now we are going to be going into the very first stitch right here. Please just watch what I'm doing, okay? So from the bottom, you are going to go into the very first stitch here and drag it out. Make sure you leave a little bit of tail here, because that's what you are going to tie it with when you are done. Okay, and then come to this other side, and you are going to be going into the very first stitch here as well. To secure it. All right. So now you go into the next stitch on this part. So as you can see, there are no stitches. So what you are just going to do, you go in the middle of this double crochet here, just like this. That's why I say watch what I'm doing, okay? So you can see how I'm passing the needle through. So you are going to go through that point and drag it out. And then come back to the point here again, the middle point here, and pass your needle through. Always make sure you're taking it through the bottom. You're passing it through the bottom, sorry. And then you're going to drag it out. Make sure it's secure. And then now you're going to be going into the point here, through the bottom, and you're going to drag it out. You come to through the point here as well and do exactly the same thing. Okay, so this is how you sew it together. Excuse me. So you go to the middle point here again, pass it through the bottom and drag it out. come to the middle point here again, pass it through the bottom and drag it out, and the end point here, go through the bottom, drag it out, and do exactly the same thing here. So this is exactly how you join. Okay, so with this method, you do not worry if one part is the back or one part is the front, because you see, as neat as this front part, that is how neat the back part is going to be as well. Okay, so I'm going to go off camera now to do my joining of the two shoulders, and I'll come back to show you how we are going to be joining this side. Okay. Okay, so I'm done joining the shoulders together, and this is how it's looking. You see how neat it looks? All right. So the next step now is going to be joining the sides. So you are going to be doing exactly the same thing we did on the shoulder area. So that is exactly what I'm going to be using to join the two sides as well. All right, but like I said, there are other ways to join it. If you don't want to use the sewing method, you can actually go ahead to use either the slip stitch or the single crochet method, but I feel comfortable using the sewing method. That is why I'm going to go ahead now to close mine with the sewing method. Okay, so I'm done joining the sides, and you see how it's looking. You see how neat this looks. So I've done the two sides. So this is how we are looking. All right, so now the next step is going to be working on the bottom area. We need to get our length right before we continue with the hand and the collar. Okay, so like I told you, I said whatever it is you got from the length of your shirt, you should deduct 5 inches out of it. So now you see that 5 inches that we deducted from the beginning, that is what we are going to start working on right now. Okay, so to begin that one, you are going to be reattaching your yarn on this very first space right here. Okay, so I'm going to be using the cream color yarn to start. All right, so you see this space right here. Now you are going to go in there, and then you are going to chain up 3. 1, 2, and 3. And on this same space, now you're going to be going in there with 1 double crochet to create the first V, because don't forget this chain 3 now is going to be serving as 1 double crochet for us. Okay, so you're going to yarn over, and then on the next space you are going to be going in there with a V. Just like that. Okay, so on the next space you're going to be going in there with a V. And make sure when you are doing this, make sure your crochet tension is loose. All right, so we don't want it to be too tight at the bottom. Okay, so just keep putting in V on each of the spaces until you get to where the next color is, which on this case now it happens to be the brown color for me. All right. Okay, so I've gotten to where the brown color is now. So as you can see, the space here now, I've put in 1 double crochet. All right, so I'm going to be putting in my second double crochet to create my V, but I won't finish it. You see, so now that I have 2 on my hook, I'm going to be switching to the other color. Okay, you're going to be switching to the other color. So just pass the brown color out of these 2 loops, just like this. This is how you just switch the color. All right, so now you are going to yarn over, and into this space now, the brown space, you are going to be going in there with a V, just like that. and then you are going to tie this one so it's secure. This one at the back here. All right, so now on this space you go ahead to complete the V, which is 2 double crochet on that space, and on the next space you are just going to go in with a V. So from here on out you keep putting in V with the brown color until you get to the next point here. Okay, so continue putting in V with the brown color now until you get to this side, and I'll come back to show you how we switch back to our cream color. Okay, so I've gotten to where the brown is again. So as you can see, this is where we are going to be switching to the cream color. Okay, so the only place that you're going to be putting the brown is where you do the joining. You see it? All right, so now I've already put one of the brown on this space, so I'm just going to be putting the second one now to make a V, but I won't finish it. So now that I have 2 on my hook, I'm going to be switching color into the cream color, just like this. Okay, so I'm going to be cutting off the brown color now, so I'll be able to tie this one at the back. Just to secure it. All right, so now you're just going to keep putting in the V on the spaces as you go. Okay, in the next space you're just going to be going there with a V, just like this. So keep working the V's again until you get to where the brown color is. All right, and then you are going to switch. Okay, so you keep working the cream color now. When you get to where the brown is again, you are going to switch to the brown color, and then you are going to do the brown color until you get to where the next brown color is, and then you're going to switch again to the cream color and do it down to this end here. Okay, so when I get to the end here, I'll come back to show you how we are going to be resuming row 2. Okay, so I'm at the end of the row 1 now. So to begin the row 2, you are going to chain up 3, 1, 2, and 3. So we are going to be doing exactly the same thing we did for the row 1. All right, so we are going to turn the work now to the other side, just like this. All right, so now you are going to be making V's all the way to the brown here, and then you are going to be switching to the brown color. All right, so to begin the V now, you know this chain 3 is going to be serving as 1 double crochet for us. So you're going to be going into this V space now with just 1 double crochet to create our first V. Then yarn over, and then inside this V space now, you are going to be going in there with a V. And on the next V space, you are going to be going in there with a V. So like I said, you keep putting in the V's on the V spaces until you get to the brown color. And then you are going to be switching to the brown color. All right. Okay, so I've gotten to the last V now, and as you can see, I just put the first double crochet. So the second double crochet, I won't finish it. So now that I have 2 on my hook, I'm going to be switching to the brown color, just exactly what we did in the row 1. Okay, so now you are going to switch to the brown color and then cut off the cream color, just like that. So we'll be able to tie it. So you're familiar with this routine. So tie this one at the back just to secure it. All right, so now you are going to be doing a V inside the V space, the brown V space now. And then yarn over, go into the next V space and do a V. So you are going to keep putting in the V inside the V spaces with the brown color until you get to the point where the cream color is again. All right, so just keep putting in the V until you get to this point here, and then you're going to switch to the cream color just like we've been doing and continue doing the cream color. Then when you get to this brown part again, you switch into the brown color and keep doing that until you get to the end here again and switch to the cream color, and then do that until you get to the end here. When I get here, I'll come back to tell you what we're going to be doing on row 3. All right, okay, so I'm at the end of the row 2 now, and this is how it's looking so far. So we are actually done with the brown color. So you remember when we're creating the body of the shirt, we did 2 rows here, so we've ended up doing 2 rows on the bottom as well. So we are not using the brown anymore. So from here on out, we are just going to be completing the bottom parts now with just the cream color. Okay, so like I told you, we left out 5 inches from the length of the shirt. So I'll just keep doing my normal rows of V's until I get the 5 inches that I'm going for. Okay, so from the row 3 now, you are not going to be switching to the brown color anymore. You're just going to be doing rows of just the cream color until you get to the length you want on your shirt. Okay, so to begin the row 3 now, you're just going to chain 3 as usual, then turn your work to the other side. All right, and on this very first space now, you're going to be putting in 1 double crochet because the chain 3 we made stand as 1 double crochet. So that's our first V, and then you are going to go into the next V and just keep creating V's on each of the V spaces like we've been doing until you get the length that you want on your shirt, like I said. All right, so I'm going off camera now to actually complete my length, and when I'm done, I'll come back to tell you what we are going to be doing next. All right, okay, so I'm done creating the bottom of the shirt, and this is how it's looking. And like I told you, I ended up putting 5 inches. So from here to here, now, as you can see, I have exactly 5 inches. So the entire shirt on its own now is now 28 inches. All right, so I made 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 rows all together. That gave me these 5 inches at the bottom. And don't forget our brown designs here. I had to put just 2 rows just to match this particular part right there. Okay, okay, so the next step now is going to be working on our arm. All right, so let us get into that. Okay, so to begin the hand, you see this part that you ended the sewing, that is where you are going to begin from. All right, I still have my long tail here. I didn't cut off the yarn from here, but if your own is not connected, all you just need to do is, you see this parts here where you ended the sewing. As you can see, I didn't remove my stitch marker, so I know exactly where I'm going to go in first. Okay, so that is where you are going to be reattaching your yarn, on the very middle right here. Okay, and then you are going to chain up 3 1 2 and 3. So you see where this first stitch marker is right here. Now this V space, you are going to be going in there with a V, which is 2 double crochet on that V space, and on the next V space you are just going to be going in there with a V. So this is very simple. It's exactly what we've been doing. So all you are just doing now is just adding rounds of V to create the hand of the shirts. All right, so you go into the next V and just keep creating V's on all of the V spaces all around. Okay, and I will meet you here to show you how we end it on these parts. All right. Okay, so I'm at the end of the row 1 now, and as you can see, we begin with a chain 3 from this part. All right, so now to end on this one, in order to make this part a V, now we are going to be adding 1 more double crochet on that same stitch where we did the chain 3 from. All right, just to make it a V, and then you are going to be doing a slip stitch on the chain 3 right here. So as you can see, we've created our V here. Okay, so to begin the row 2, you are going to chain up 3 again, 1, 2, and 3, and then go into the next V space right here, and you are going to go in there with a V. And into the next V space, you're just going to keep creating your V's all around like I've told you before. So just keep putting in V on all of the V spaces, and when I get here again, I'll come back to show you how to end it. Okay. Okay, so I'm at the end of the row 2 now, and this is how it's looking so far. So as you can see, I've put in my last V on the last V space here. So you remember we started with a chain 3 from this space. So what you're going to be doing now, you're going to be going into the V space at the end here, and you're going to do just 1 double crochet to create the last V right here, because this chain 3 is going to be serving as 1 double crochet. So the two together now gives you a V. So you're going to do a slip stitch on the chain 3 stitch that we started with here, just like this, to complete the V. All right, so for the row 3, you're just going to be repeating exactly the same thing. Chain up 3 and then go into the next V and just keep doing the same thing all around, okay, until you get to the length that you want. Okay, so I'm done creating the hand, and this is how it's looking. See, I had to come back with my design of the brown here again. So for this part now, I ended up doing exactly 5.5 inches. So I'm going with this sleeve, a short sleeve. So this is exactly 5.5. All right, so this 5.5, I actually did 4 rows of cream, 2 rows of brown, and 5 rows of cream. So altogether I did 6 plus 5, that's 11 rows. That's what I added to this part. Okay, so now what you're going to do, you're going to be doing the second hand, and make sure it is exactly what you did here. That's what you're going to be doing on the other side, because you don't want one to be longer or shorter. Okay, so I'm done with both the arms. So I'm done with both the hands. Now let us dive right in to creating the collar. All right. Okay, so to start on the collar, you are going to be leaving out this very first space here, and then you are going to reattach your yarn on the very second space. All right. And then you are going to chain up 3, 1, 2, and 3, and this chain 3 now is going to be serving as 1 double crochet for us. So on that same space, you're going to go in there with just 1 double crochet to create our very first V. All right, and now you're going to go into the next space, and then you're going to put a V right there. And into the next space, you're going to put a V. And into the next space, you're going to put a V. So for the row 1, this is exactly what you are going to be doing. On each of the spaces, you're just going to keep creating the V like we've been doing for the shirt, because it's exactly the same pattern that we have used for the entire body of the shirt. That is what we're using for the collar as well. Okay, so in each of the spaces, just keep putting in your V until you get to this part here. And don't forget, we left one space here, so you're going to be leaving one space here, and this is where you are going to end. So when I'm done with my first row, I'll come back to show you how we are going to begin the next row. Okay, so I'm at the end of the first row, and like I told you, you know, we left the first space here, so you are going to be leaving one space here as well, so you end it on the second one. Okay, so now to begin the row 2, you are going to chain up 3, 1, 2 and 3, and then turn your work to the other side. So this chain 3 now is going to be serving as 1 double crochet. So on this V space, you are going to be going in there with 1 double crochet to create our very first V. Okay, so on the next V space now, you are going to be going in there with a V, and the next V space, you are going to be going in there with a V. So this is exactly what you are going to continue again. Keep creating your V on each of the V spaces until you get to the end of this row. Okay, so I'm at the end of the row 2, and this is how it's looking so far. So to begin the row 3, you are going to chain up 3. 1, 2 and 3, and then turn your work to the other side. So for this row 3, we are going to be doing our first increase. Okay, so in the beginning, this first space now, this first V space, you are going to be going in there with just 1 double crochet, because chain 3 is going to be serving as 1 double crochet as usual. So this is our first V. So on the next space now, this is where we are going to be doing the increase. Okay, so you are just going to go in there with a V. All right, and inside that same space, you're just going to be going in there with another V, just like that. All right, so on the next space, you're just going to be going in there with just 1 V, and on the next, you're going to be going in there with just 1 V. So this is exactly what you're going to be doing until you get to the very end again, and I'll come back to show you how we are going to be doing the increase on this part as well. All right, okay, so I've gotten to where I need to do the next increase. So before the last V, the second to the last one, that is where you're going to be going in with the first V, and then on that same space, you're just going to be going in there with another V, just like that. All right, so now on this last space, you're just going to be going in there with the normal V, like we've been doing to end the row. All right, so now to begin the row 4, you're going to chain up 3, turn your work to the other side. This shirt is so big. All right, so on this very first V space now, you're going to be going in there with your first double crochet to create the first V. All right, so for this row, we are not going to be doing any increase on this row. So on the next V now, you are going to be going in there with a V with no increase right here. And on the next V, which is this one now, you are going to be going in there with a V. And on the next, you're going to be going in there with a V. So keep putting in your V on each of the spaces, all right, until you get to the very end. And when I get to the end, I'll come back to show you what we're going to be doing next. All right, okay, so I'm at the end of the row 4, and this is how it's looking already. So for my row 5, you're going to chain up 3, Turn your work to the other side. And on this first V space, you're just going to be going in there with just one double crochet to create the first V. And on the next V space, you're going in there with a V. So this is exactly what you're going to be doing for this row. And like I told you, this row is going to be my last row. So I'll end up putting just 5 rows for the collar. All right. So when I get to the end here, I'll come back to show you what we are going to be doing next. Okay. Okay, so I'm at the end of the row 5 now, and like I said, this is going to be my last row. Okay, so the next thing we are going to be doing now, you are going to chain up 1 and then turn your work to the other side. So now what we are going to be doing, we are going to be doing single crochet all across this top part, and then we are going to do it down to this part, and then we are going to be doing it all the way down to the very bottom of the shirt right here. Okay, so it's going to be starting from the top here. So on this very first stitch now, you are going to be going in there with a single crochet, and on the next stitch you're going to be going in there with a single crochet, and next you're going to be going in there with a single crochet. So like I said, we are going all the way down to the bottom of the shirt with this single crochet. All right, so when I'm done doing mine, I'll come back to tell you what we are going to be doing next. Okay. Okay, so I'm done with the single crochet row all the way down to the bottom of the shirt. So this is how it's looking now. So the next step now, we are going to be doing another single crochet all the way to the top, but this time around we are not going to be making it into the collar. We are just going to stop right here. Okay, so this is the part that the buttons are going to be. So what you're going to do now, you're going to chain up 1, then turn your work to the front side now, and then keep working single crochet on each of the stitches from here down to this top part here. Do not make it into the collar side. You are going to be stopping right here. So I'm going off camera to do mine now, and when I'm done, I'll come back to show you what we are going to be doing next. All right. Okay, so I've gotten to the top parts now, and you see how it's looking very neat and presentable. All right, so like I told you, this is where I'm going to be ending it. I'm not taking it into where the collar is, so I'm just going to cut off the yarn here now, and then I'm going to tie it. All right, so we are done with this part. So now we are going to do exactly the same thing for this other side, but when we are doing this one, we are going to be using the very first single crochet on this part to create the buttonholes. So in order to know where our buttonholes are going to be, we need to mark the places where the buttons are going to be on these parts of the shirt. All right, so with that, you are going to need some stitch markers. All right, so for my own, I know I'm going to be putting a button on the very first stitch right here. So I'm going to put a stitch marker here, and then the next one is going to be counting 15 stitches now. So after this one, you count 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12 13 14 15, and on the 15th stitch I'm going to be putting another stitch marker. So I'll count another 15 stitch and put another stitch marker. So this places happens to be where I want my buttons to be. All right, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12 13 14, exactly 15. So you go ahead to mark all of your points where you want your buttons to be. Okay, so I'm done marking all of the points that I want my buttons to be on now. So when I begin the single crochet on this part, I'm just going to be creating the buttonholes, so it will be easier that way. All right, so this time around we are going to be starting from the bottom part of the shirts. This is where we work the single crochet from the bottom to the very top down to the end of this collar here. Okay, so let us begin. So to begin this one, you are going to be going into the very first stitch here. Please just watch what I'm doing, okay? You're going to be going into the very first stitch here. Okay, this is my first stitch. Okay, and that is where you are going to reattach your yarn. Then you are going to chain up one. All right, so on that same stitch, you are going to be going in there with one single crochet. And on that space, you're going to be going in there with one single crochet. All right, and then on the next space you're going to be going in there with two single crochets, and on the next space you're going to be going in there with two single crochets. So on the next space you're going to be going in there with two single crochets, the next two single crochets. So you keep putting in two single crochets on each of the spaces until you get to where the very first stitch marker is. Then we'll create our very first buttonhole. All right, okay, I think we've gotten to where our very first buttonhole is. So this is it. All right, so on this part now you're going to put in one single crochet here, and now you're going to chain up two chains and then skip one stitch and then go into the next stitch now with a single crochet. And I'll keep putting in one single crochet on each of the stitches until I get to the next point again, which is 15 from here, because you remember when I'm putting the stitch markers I counted 15. So now this is exactly what I'm going to do to create the buttonhole. So this is how the buttonholes are going to be looking like. So you continue now putting in one single crochet, then when you get to where your stitch marker is, chain up two, skip one stitch, and on the next you put in just one single crochet and just keep counting until you get to this point here. Okay, and then continue putting in one single crochet into the collar and end here. So when I get to this part here, I'll come back to tell you what we're going to be doing next. All right, okay, so I'm at the end of the single crochet row now. So as you can see, I made it into the collar, and these are the buttonholes. You see how they're looking. All right, so now we are going to be ending this one right here. So I'm going to cut off my yarn here, chain up one and tie it just like this. So now for the next single crochet, we are going to be turning our work to the right side now. So this time around, we are not going to be starting from the collar parts. We are going to be starting from this part here. That's why you see I had to put a stitch marker so I know where to begin. Okay, so this is where you're going to reattach your yarn, because we are just going to do one row of single crochet on these parts now. So reattach your yarn on the very first stitch right here, and then chain up one. All right, so on that very stitch you are going to be going in there with one single crochet, and this part now happens to be our very first buttonhole. You are going to be going in there with two single crochet. You remember when we're creating the buttonholes, we chained up two. Okay, so on that space now you're going to be going in there with two single crochets, and on the next stitch you're just going to be going in there with one single crochet. So this is what you keep doing. Keep putting in one single crochet on each of the stitches, and then when you get to where the buttonhole is, you are going to be putting in two single crochet on the hole, and then continue putting in one single crochet on each of the stitches as you go until the end of this row. Okay, so I'm done fixing the buttonholes, and this is how it's looking. You see how it came out very nicely. So now I'm just going to go ahead now to fix in all of my buttons, and I'll come back to show you the finished results. All right. Okay, so I'm done fixing all of my buttons. So as you can see, this is where my first one is, and these are all of them. So as you can see, it's exactly where the buttonholes are as well. So let me button it up. It's so beautiful. All right, so when buttoned, this is how it will be looking. It's so cute. All right. Okay, so with this, we've come to the end of today's tutorial. I do hope you enjoy watching this video as much as I did making the video. If you do, make sure to like the video and share it to your friends and your family who wants to make something as beautiful as this. All right, and if you've not subscribed to my channel, please do so now. You don't want to be missing out on all those beautiful tutorials that I post on here. All right, and if you have any questions about this project, feel free to drop it on my comment section, and I will be happy to help. All right, so until next time, bye bye.